Welcome to MLS English Podcast, the show where English learning meets mindset growth. Whether you're here to boost your vocabulary, speak with confidence, or build a strong, unstoppable mindset, you're in the perfect place. Get ready for powerful tips, real conversations, and high energy that will move you forward. This is more than just a podcast. This is your new routine for success. Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into something that, well, it truly underpins success in almost every area of life, right? And especially in learning. Think about it. What do you believe is that single pivotal thing that can either, make or completely break your path to achieving any goal you set? Whether it's mastering a new skill like English, striving for fitness, or hitting a professional milestone. When you look at people who consistently achieve, what's their secret ingredient? What is that thing?
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? Because the answer, so often, it points towards self-discipline. It's like this invisible force that keeps us moving forward consistently. Even when that initial burst of motivation has long faded, it really is the difference between just setting a goal and actually realizing it. Without that consistent internal push, even the most meticulously planned aspirations could just fall by the wayside. It's the engine, really, that drives consistency, particularly when the road gets tough. Self-discipline is what bridges that gap between saying you'll do something and, well, actually doing it.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I've been wrestling with that very thing myself lately. I've found myself falling behind on some personal goals, and if I'm honest, feeling a bit undisciplined. For instance, I've been wanting to exercise more, get back into that healthy routine. But the days I've set aside for working out just seem to constantly clash with my Netflix binge sessions. Sound familiar? It's the classic I'll start tomorrow syndrome, isn't it? That internal negotiation where immediate gratification just wins out over the long-term benefit. And it's frustrating when you know what you should do, but you just can't seem to make yourself do it. I'll plan out my entire week of workouts, feel great about it, and then, 6 p.m. rolls around, the gym bag is staring at me, and suddenly that new season of my favorite show seems infinitely more appealing. It's this constant inner battle.
It sounds like you've been struggling with consistency. And that's a feeling I think many of us share. And when we say someone is struggling with something, it just means they're having difficulty doing it or dealing with it, often, on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, that describes it perfectly.
And your experience really highlights this. Why do we so often fall into that trap? It's because without that underlying structure of self-discipline, we easily give in to procrastination. And procrastination, well, that's the act of delaying or postponing something, often unnecessarily, even when we know we should do it.
Hmm.
Over time, we just lose sight of the goals we've maybe meticulously set for ourselves. We start strong, with all that enthusiasm of a fresh start or a new resolution. But then the momentum just disappears. It fizzles out. And it's not just about losing motivation. It's often a lack of strategies, maybe a lack of systems to sustain action when motivation inevitably wanes. We kind of expect willpower alone to carry us. And, well, it's a finite resource, isn't it?
Exactly. That I'll start tomorrow truly becomes this dangerous cycle that just spirals into inaction. It's not just a momentary lapse. It can become a really deeply ingrained pattern if you're not careful. So our mission for this deep dive is to truly break down how to cultivate this crucial quality, self-discipline. We'll explore why it's so vital for success, not just in your English learning journey, but across all aspects of your life. And crucially, we'll talk about how you can stay motivated even when the path gets tough and you feel like giving up. We've got some incredibly practical insights to share that you can apply, immediately. Things to help you shift from just passive wishing to active doing. We really want to equip you with the tools to build that unstoppable mindset for English mastery and beyond.
Yeah. And as we go, we'll be seamlessly integrating some really useful intermediate level vocabulary. These words and phrases are designed to help you sound even more natural and fluent when you speak English, reinforcing what you learn about discipline. Because as you deepen your understanding of these vital life skills, you'll simultaneously expand your linguistic toolkit. It's a win-win. For example, we just used struggling with and procrastinating, and we'll keep pointing out these useful terms as we go.
Oh, that's great. Very useful.
So stick around because this deep dive is packed with insights to help you build self-discipline and elevate your English skills to new heights. We're aiming for both, personal growth and language mastery.
All right, let's kick things off then with the first game-changing tip. Start with tiny habits. I know for myself, every single year, without fail, I set these enormous goals, huge ones. I'm talking about things like I will work out for an hour every single day, or I will eat perfectly clean meals with absolutely no cheating, no treats, nothing. The intention is noble, it really is, but the execution, it always falls apart. Without fail, by mid-January, sometimes even sooner, I'm completely overwhelmed and totally burned out. And when we talk about burnout, we're referring to that, physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. It's like I'm setting myself up for failure and disappointment right from the start, which makes giving up feel almost inevitable. It's just too much, too soon.
Oh, this is such a common pattern. Those grand New Year's resolutions, while definitely well-intentioned, right, born from a genuine desire for change, they can often lead straight to burnout if we attempt to do too much, too soon. The core principle here is to start incredibly small, really small, and focus on building momentum incrementally. It's about respecting that psychological hurdle of just starting a new behavior. When the task is minimal, the resistance to begin is significantly lower, which dramatically increases the likelihood of actually doing it.
Right.
Think of it as reducing the activation energy required. If that first step is minuscule, your brain doesn't put up a fight. It kind of says, oh, that's barely anything. Yeah, I can do that. And that small success then builds confidence and reduces that internal friction, making it easier to stick with it. And to stick with it simply means to continue doing something, especially when it's difficult or challenging. It's all about persistent effort.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. I've discovered that when I commit to something tiny, like just 5 minutes of exercise each day, I am far more likely to stick with it. Way more likely. It feels manageable, almost effortless, and then surprisingly, it starts to build up over time. Those small commitments compound. And when something compounds over time, it means it increases or accumulates over a period, right? Leading to much larger results than you'd expect, like interest growing on an investment. 5 minutes feels so non-threatening, so achievable that my brain doesn't even put up a fight. And once I'm doing it, sometimes those 5 minutes naturally turn into 10 or 15, simply because I've overcome that initial inertia, that resistance, and discovered that, hey, it wasn't so bad after all. It's like a tiny spark that just ignites a much larger fire.
Exactly. Tiny habits, when you do them consistently, are incredibly powerful for building momentum. Like you said, 5 minutes of exercise daily seems kind of insignificant in isolation, maybe. But over weeks or months, the cumulative effect is substantial, huge sometimes. It's the steady accumulation of those small efforts that leads to significant change. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's the same for language learning, absolutely. Instead of pledging to study English for like a daunting hour every day, which can quickly lead to feeling overwhelmed and just giving up.
Yeah, definitely been there.
Right. Commit to just 5 minutes of practice a day. Whether it's reading a single sentence from an English novel, listening to a 2-minute news clip, maybe learning just one new word. That small, consistent habit will lead to remarkable progress. And it boosts your confidence without overwhelming you. It's really about consistency over intensity, especially right at the beginning. Plus, these small wins, they trigger dopamine, reinforcing that positive loop.
I love that. It makes so much sense when you put it that way. The brilliant idea is to make the habit so unbelievably small that you literally cannot say no to it. You might only practice for a few minutes, but that small effort, done consistently, day after day, leads to massive results down the line.
It's about the power of marginal gains, isn't it? Those seemingly tiny improvements that, over time, add up to something truly transformative. We often overestimate what we can do in a single day, but we vastly underestimate what we can achieve in a year just by consistently doing tiny things. Kind of the ultimate counterintuitive strategy for success, really.
And what's fascinating here is that when you focus on these minute habits, they just seamlessly integrate into your routine. It becomes easier to stay disciplined because you're not constantly fighting yourself or relying on, that finite supply of willpower.
Yeah.
It simply becomes part of who you are and what you do, like brushing your teeth or making your morning coffee. It just happens.
Right. Automatic.
Yeah, this automation frees up your mental energy for more complex tasks and significantly reduces the likelihood of decision fatigue. It's about making the desired behavior, the path of least resistance, almost an automatic response rather than a conscious struggle. You're essentially tricking your brain into making the right choice, almost as if it's become second nature. And when something becomes second nature, well, it just means you do it automatically without thinking, usually because you've done it so often.
That concept of compounding tiny efforts is so powerful. It really makes you realize that small steps aren't just for starting out, they're the actual building blocks for something much bigger. And that something bigger often comes when we move beyond just setting goals and start focusing on something more robust, the systems that get us there. So let's move to our second powerful tip. Focus on systems, not just goals. Goals are fantastic for direction, totally. They give us a target to aim for, a desired outcome, a finish line. but they rarely lead to sustained success without a clear, actionable system backing them up. It's like having a beautiful destination on a map, but no roads or vehicle to get you there. You know where you want to go, but you don't have a reliable step-by-step process for how to consistently move towards it.
Oh, I've definitely made that mistake myself
Mm.
many times. I used to set these big ambitious goals like, okay, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. Sounds great, right?
Mm.
I'd write it down, feel that burst of excitement, but then the next day, I didn't know exactly what to do. There was no daily blueprint, and without a well-defined system in place for how I'd actually achieve that, I just couldn't keep up. I'd falter, I'd start strong with that initial motivation, but then get discouraged when the quick results didn't happen. So this raises an important question. Host, you mentioned goals give us direction, but often fall short. From your experience, what do you think is missing? And how does this idea of a system fill that gap?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what's missing is the how. Goals are the what, but systems are the how. That's where systems come in. A system is basically a series of small daily actions that incrementally move you closer to your ultimate goal. It's the process, not just the outcome. So, for that weight loss goal you mentioned, a system might be, okay, I will track my food intake every day for accountability, or I will walk 30 minutes every morning at 7 a.m., and maybe I will prepare my healthy lunches on Sunday nights for the week ahead.
Right, specific actions.
Exactly. These are daily, actionable steps that, when you follow them consistently, they naturally lead to the goal. The goal is the desired future state. The system is the present set of actions that create that future. It's about taking the guesswork out of progress. Psychologists sometimes call this specific planning implementation intentions, deciding in advance when, where, and how you'll take action. It makes it concrete.
Ah, I see. That makes perfect sense. So instead of fixating solely on the maybe distant desired outcome, you concentrate on creating a robust system for success today. For example, for English learners, instead of just saying, I want to be fluent, which is great, but
I'll be
vague.
big.
Right. You could commit to a system. I'll practice English for just 10 minutes every morning at my kitchen table, maybe reviewing flashcards, or I'll listen to English podcasts during my daily commute. Definite things. By embedding these consistent small habits, these systems into your daily routine, you'll inevitably start to see significant results over time. It shifts your focus from the overwhelming what if of the goal to the actionable what now of the system. This focus on process creates reliable progress. It's less about the destination and more about the journey, specifically about making that journey consistent.
Yes, exactly. And once your system is fully established, it becomes almost automatic. It really does. You don't have to rely solely on fleeting motivation, which, as we know, comes and goes like the tide. It's unreliable. You simply follow the routine no matter how small or insignificant it might seem on any given day. The effort shifts from deciding what to do each time to simply doing what you've already decided your system is. This consistency, this just adherence to the system, is the true bedrock of discipline and sustained progress. It's a beautifully simple concept, but incredibly powerful once you apply it.
I really like that framing. When you shift your focus to building a routine, a system, you alleviate so much of the stress of constantly thinking about the end goal. Your energy is redirected towards simply following through with the system you've meticulously set up. Systems are what keep you on track, day in, day out. With the right system in place, you are far less likely to experience burnout or give up entirely because your actions become consistent and automatic. It's like creating a well-defined path that effortlessly guides you towards your goal, avoiding all those unnecessary bumps and detours along the way. This makes the journey smoother and far more sustainable, and ultimately, it's how you keep the momentum going. And just to clarify, to keep momentum going means to maintain the speed or energy of a process, ensuring it continues to move forward. It's what prevents stagnation and keeps you on the path to mastery.
That idea of designing your path makes so much sense, creating that smooth journey. And that leads us perfectly into our next tip.
Yeah.
Make habits attractive. Make them appealing. If you can find a way to make a habit genuinely fun or enjoyable, well, sticking with it becomes a whole lot easier, almost effortless sometimes. It's about reframing the activity from like a dreaded chore into something you actually look forward to, or at least don't actively resist. This positive association is incredibly powerful for long-term adherence. It's about leveraging your brain's natural desire for pleasure, not fighting it.
Oh, I totally agree. When I first started exercising, I absolutely used to dread it. It felt like this monumental chore.
Yeah.
Something I had to do, not something I wanted to do. It was pure willpower, and as we said, that quickly ran out. But then I discovered ways to make it enjoyable. I started listening to my favorite true crime podcasts while running, or I'd even watch a funny TV show while I was stretching or doing light cardio. Suddenly, working out wasn't this terrible burden anymore. It became, well, almost pleasant. What's fascinating here is how quickly our perception shifts when we pair an activity with something pleasurable. The brain starts to associate the formerly dreaded task with a positive feeling, making it far more appealing and thus easier to repeat. This is essentially applying the principle of positive reinforcement to ourselves, isn't it?
Exactly. And the same approach works wonders for English practice. Absolutely. If you can discover ways to make it enjoyable, maybe by watching an exciting English show that you genuinely love anyway, or allowing yourself a small treat after a focused study session, it transforms the entire process. It becomes something much more appealing and fun. Instead of just slogging through grammar exercises you hate, you might immerse yourself in a gripping English drama, actively listening for new phrases, knowing you're picking up slang and natural phrasing. That feels productive and enjoyable. Or, after an intense speaking practice session where you really pushed yourself, you treat yourself to your favorite snack or a short break to scroll through something fun.
Yeah.
It could even be as simple as, like you said, only allowing yourself to watch that show while you're on the elliptical, or maybe only enjoying your favorite fancy coffee after you've spent 15 minutes reviewing vocabulary.
Uh-huh.
Linking the two.
That's a great idea. If you reward yourself after practicing English, perhaps with a small treat, a brief break, or a fun activity you enjoy, it will significantly boost your motivation. It's almost like bribing yourself to learn, isn't it? But in the most positive and productive way.
Yeah, a positive bribe.
Your brain loves rewards because they trigger the release of dopamine, that neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and motivation. This positive reinforcement powerfully strengthens the habit over time. It creates this positive feedback loop. Action leads to reward, which makes you want to take the action again. This psychological principle is fundamental to habit formation, sometimes called temptation bundling, where you link something you want to do with something you need to do.
So, making habits attractive by pairing them with rewards means I'm much more likely to stick to my goals, whether it's fitness or language learning. Who knew being disciplined could involve snacks and TV shows? It really changes the dynamic from feeling like a constant battle of wills to more of a strategic game where you're cleverly encouraging yourself towards success. It's about leveraging your natural desires rather than constantly fighting against them.
Right, exactly. Discipline doesn't have to be this boring, grueling task that feels like punishment or deprivation.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It can and probably should be something you look forward to, or at least don't actively resist. When you make it attractive, you're working with your natural tendencies and inclinations, not against them. And that makes sustainable change far more probable and maybe even enjoyable.
And that leads us beautifully to the next invaluable tip, designing your environment for success, shaping your surroundings. The simple truth is, your surroundings can either be your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle when it comes to discipline. It's huge. It's often overlooked, I think, but the physical space you inhabit profoundly influences your choices and behaviors, almost unconsciously guiding you towards or away from your goals. We make thousands of choices every day, apparently, and our environment often kind of predetermines many of them without us even realizing.
Oh, I can definitely vouch for that. And just quickly, to vouch for that means to confirm that something is true or good based on your own experience. And I can personally confirm this. When my desk is cluttered or I've got snacks and tempting distractions like my phone buzzing right there all around me, I find myself getting sidetracked incredibly quickly. It's almost instant.
Yeah, me too.
It's almost like setting myself up for disaster, really. If your immediate environment doesn't actively support your goals, it becomes far too easy to give in to distractions and veer off course. The path of least resistance often leads to procrastination if the environment isn't meticulously optimized. It's about making the desired behavior the easy choice, the obvious choice.
Exactly. That's why I've made some conscious changes myself. I've started keeping my workout clothes right by my bed and my gym bag packed near the door. That way, I'm literally reminded to exercise first thing in the morning, and the friction to just get started is incredibly low. It's right there. I also intentionally moved all the snacks away from my desk to minimize temptation and help me stay focused during work hours. It's not about relying on heroic willpower to resist. It's about removing the need for willpower in the first place by making the undesirable choice inconvenient or invisible. It's a subtle but honestly powerful shift in strategy.
Smart move. That's exactly it. The key is to strategically arrange your environment to make it easier to follow through on your intentions and significantly harder to procrastinate. This is sometimes called choice architecture, subtly guiding behavior through the design of the environment.
Interesting term.
Yeah. So how can you apply this to your English learning? For all of you learning English listening right now, actively make your environment work for you. Keep your study materials visible and easily accessible. Whether it's books, apps on your phone, or flashcards, make sure they're within reach. And when something is within reach, it means it's easily accessible or obtainable, physically close, or just easy to get to. The old saying, out of sight, out of mind, is so true. And the inverse is also true. In sight, in mind, maybe in action, raw. Create a dedicated, inviting space for your studies, even if it's just a specific corner of your living room that you associate with focused learning. Make it obvious.
Right. And don't forget, the people around you matter just as much as your physical space, your social environment. Surround yourself with individuals who genuinely support your goals and cheer you on. That makes a huge difference. If your friends are encouraging you to practice English, or maybe reminding you gently about your study goals, it's a lot easier to stay disciplined and motivated. They become part of your supportive environment, like a social structure that reinforces your positive habits and holds you gently accountable. This social contagion of habits, good or bad, can be incredibly powerful.
Well, unless your friends are constantly distracting you with offers of cake, like you said earlier.
Haha. Yeah, maybe choose your cake friends wisely.
But yes, it's about consciously choosing who you spend your time with, especially when those people influence your choices and habits. Your social circle can either be a powerful force for good, propelling you forward, or a subtle drain on your discipline, holding you back. Choose wisely.
Haha, true. And speaking of distractions and drains, that's where effectively managing your willpower and energy comes in. This is critical. Think of willpower like a muscle. It gets weaker and more fatigued the more you use it throughout the day. It's not unlimited. Every decision you make, every act of self-control, every time you resist temptation, it drains a little bit from that finite reserve, leaving you with less and less as the day wears on.
Yeah.
This is often referred to as ego depletion in psychological terms, right? The idea that our capacity for self-control is limited and depletes with use.
Oh, I totally feel that. By the end of the day, seriously, after making countless decisions, resisting various temptations, navigating daily challenges, I often feel like I've used up every last drop of my willpower. I'm running on empty, and I'm just trying to resist the overwhelming urge to just, binge watch something mindless on Netflix or order unhealthy takeout because cooking feels too hard.
Yep, the evening struggle is real.
It really is. So this raises an important question. How do we optimize our energy to make sure we have enough willpower for what truly matters? That's why it's absolutely critical to manage your energy wisely, strategically. Schedule your most important tasks, like studying English or exercising, for when you're feeling your best and most alert, which for most people tends to be earlier in the day. This is usually when your willpower reserves are fullest and your cognitive abilities are sharpest.
Right. So for me, if I schedule exercise in the morning, maybe right after waking up, I'm far more likely to stick with it consistently. My mind is fresh, my energy is relatively high, and I haven't yet faced the day's barrage of decisions and stresses. The barrier to entry just feels much lower then. But by the evening, after a long day of work and responsibilities, my energy reserves are depleted. I'm tired, and I simply don't have the mental fortitude, that strength, to force myself to work out. It feels like an insurmountable battle against my own exhaustion and depleted self-control, like trying to push a boulder uphill.
Exactly. And for you, as English learners, identify your peak energy time. When do you feel sharpest? And intentionally dedicate that period to your most focused practice, your most demanding tasks, whether it's reviewing complex grammar or vocabulary, engaging in demanding speaking practice, or intensely listening to challenging material. Do it when you're feeling sharp to maximize the impact of your energy. Don't waste your prime mental hours on trivial tasks like scrolling social media. Save them for the demanding work that truly moves the needle in your learning journey. This strategic allocation of your mental resources is really a hallmark of self-discipline. It's about prioritizing your toughest tasks for your best energy.
Totally. And another brilliant tip related to this is automating decisions, making things automatic. The fewer trivial decisions you have to make throughout your day, the more mental energy you'll have conserved for the things that truly matter, like deep learning or intense workouts. And to conserve mental energy just means to save or prevent the waste of mental effort, right?
Just see.
Think about simple things like what you wear each day, what you eat for breakfast, or even sticking to a set study schedule. If these are already decided for you through a routine, you don't spend precious mental effort on them each time. I heard Steve Jobs famously wore the same outfit every day, partly for this exact reason, to reduce decision fatigue.
Exactly. Automating routine decisions helps you conserve that precious mental energy for the big, challenging stuff. This reduces decision fatigue and frees up your mind for more important tasks. It's why you see many highly successful people often simplifying their daily choices. They understand the finite nature of willpower and mental bandwidth. By removing the need to decide, you remove the opportunity to waver, to hesitate, and to waste energy on mundane choices. This allows you to direct your mental horsepower where it truly counts, on the things that lead to real progress.
Okay, so now, once you've meticulously set up your systems, optimized your environment, managed your energy, having someone to hold you accountable can truly take your discipline to the next level. And when you take something to the next level, it just means making it better or more advanced, right? Pushing it further.
Yeah, elevating it.
Social support is a profound key, I think, to boosting your self-discipline. It adds this external layer of commitment that can be incredibly motivating, especially when your internal drive might be flagging or you're tempted to procrastinate.
I completely agree. When I have a workout buddy, someone I'm meeting at the gym, or even just a friend who regularly checks in on my progress with something, I'm significantly more likely to stay on track with my exercise routine or whatever the goal is. It creates this external pressure, positive pressure, that complements your internal motivation. Knowing someone is expecting you, or knowing that you'll have to report back on your progress, honestly, that can be the exact push you need on days when you'd rather just give up and do something easier. It transforms an individual commitment into a kind of shared one. You're leveraging the power of social connection.
Exactly. And the same principle applies directly to English learners.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whether it's connecting with a dedicated language partner you meet with weekly, joining a structured study group where you maybe share your progress and challenges, or even just having a supportive friend who checks in on your progress. Hey, how's the English study going?
Uh-huh.
Having someone hold you accountable can make an enormous difference, a huge difference. It's like having someone there to help you stay focused, but ideally without any judgment. Just a gentle, encouraging push when you need it most.
Right.
They don't just motivate you, they create a kind of social consequence for inaction, which is a powerful driver for consistency. You don't want to let them down, right? That feeling of shared commitment is incredibly motivating for most people.
That's the idea. Accountability helps keep you incredibly motivated and consistent. Whether it's regularly sharing your English practice goals with a friend or consistently working out with a partner, it's just much, much easier to stay disciplined when you have that vital layer of support. It provides a sense of obligation, sure, but also a sense of shared journey and camaraderie, which can make the process feel less isolating and far more achievable, especially when you inevitably encounter difficulties or setbacks. You might even consider public accountability too, like maybe posting your learning goals on social media if that works for you. That adds another layer of commitment.
Exactly. And for fitness, if I know someone is encouraging me or actually waiting for me at the gym, it's just so much harder to skip that workout. The thought of letting someone else down, even subtly, often outweighs my own desire to slack off in that moment.
Yeah, that social pressure is powerful.
The same goes for English. You're far more likely to stick to your study plan if you've got that consistent support system in place. It's like having a built-in safety net for your discipline, catching you when you might otherwise fall off track.
Okay, so we've covered some really powerful practical tips there for building self-discipline. Now, maybe let's take a quick moment to review some of those key words and phrases we've used today. These will also significantly boost your English skills. We're going to break down some intermediate vocabulary that can help you sound even more natural and fluent.
Great idea. Always useful.
First, we used make or break. Remember, you said self-discipline can make or break your goals.
Right.
This means it's the factor that determines the success or failure of something. It's pivotal. For example, self-discipline can make or break your learning journey. Then, struggle with. You mentioned you were struggling with exercise consistency.
Yep.
This just means having difficulty doing something. Example, I've been struggling with consistent practice. We also talked about how hard it is to keep momentum going. That means maintaining the speed or energy of a process. E.g., it's hard to keep the momentum going after a break. And the opposite of keeping momentum is often procrastinating.
Guilty.
We all are sometimes. It's the act of delaying or postponing something. E.g., without discipline, we end up procrastinating. Setting huge goals can lead to burnout.
Definitely felt that.
That's the physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. E.g., setting huge goals can lead to burnout. With tiny habits, you're more likely to stick with it, which means to continue doing something, especially when it's hard. E.g., I'm more likely to stick with it if it's a small habit.
Okay.
And those small habits compound over time, meaning they increase or accumulate over the period. E.g., small habits compound over time to big results. Eventually, a good system becomes second nature, right? Something you do automatically without thinking. For example, once the system is in place, it becomes second nature. I said I could vouch for that regarding environmental distractions. That means confirming something is true based on your own experience.
Mm-hmm.
E.g., I can definitely vouch for that. My cluttered desk distracts me.
Got it.
We talked about keeping study materials within reach, meaning easily accessible or obtainable. E.g., keep your study materials within reach. Automating decisions helps conserve mental energy, which is saving or preventing the waste of mental effort. For example, automating decisions helps conserve mental energy.
Makes sense.
And finally, accountability can take it to the next level, making something better or more advanced. E.g., accountability can take your discipline to the next level.
Phew.
Okay, remember everyone, the absolute best way to truly remember new words is by actively using them. Try them out in real-life situations. Make an effort to include these words in your daily conversations or maybe when you're writing something to really reinforce your learning.
Thanks for those invaluable vocabulary tips. They're always so helpful. Seriously. Absolutely. And now I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, so just remember, as we've explored today, cultivating self-discipline isn't really about having some kind of superhuman willpower, is it? It's much more about strategically designing your life to make consistent action easier, smoother. Remember to diligently keep those tiny habits in place. Strive for that unwavering consistency by focusing on robust systems, not just goals. And proactively design your environment so it actively works for you, not against you. These are really the pillars upon which sustainable self-discipline is built, allowing you to move forward without constantly battling that internal resistance. It's about setting yourself up for success rather than just, hoping for it. And it is a skill you can learn, practice, and definitely improve over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, don't forget to reward yourself along the way. Make it enjoyable. Good habits don't have to be a boring chore. Make them fun, make them attractive. Because when the process itself is enjoyable, or at least associated with positive feelings, you're not just building discipline, you're building a routine you actually want to maintain. And that leads to lasting progress. Your brain loves success, and by applying these strategies, you're giving it plenty of opportunities to feel that success, which just reinforces your journey towards mastery, whether it's in English or any other area of life. It's about intelligent self leadership, really. Creating a path where you not only achieve your goals, but actually enjoy the process of getting there. Okay, that's a wrap for today's episode on MLS English Podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review if you can, and maybe share this episode with someone who's serious about growing in English and in life. Keep practicing, keep pushing, keep building those systems, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's grow together.